Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Maryland Drawing Show, and welcome to the Art of Cursive Writing course. How is everyone doing today? Are you having a nice day? I hope you're having a nice day wherever you are in the world. We're going to share this with our friends so that they can come and hang out with us too. At this time, I would encourage you to share this with your friends so that they can also come and hang out with us too. Okay, hopefully some of our friends will come and hang out with us. How is everyone doing today? Are you having a nice day? I hope you're having a nice day. Let's take a look today at the cursive capital letters. So, this is what they basically look like. There's a couple of variations in here, which we're going to talk about. Some light on the subject. Maybe turn that down a smidge. So, here's what they look like together. And let's just go over them, shall we? So we're going to break out a new piece of paper. We're using a 55-degree line, but you can use a 50, anywhere between a 55 and a 50-degree line. Then we're going to turn our paper so that the lines are pointing toward our shoulders. I'm going to turn the camera so you can see. Okay, then we're going to start with the letter A. So I'm going to turn this down just a little bit so we can see. We're going to start with the A. The A starts either at the bottom or the top. It doesn't really matter. And we're going to come in an angle all the way down to the baseline, slight curve up back to that second ascender. Hello there, Grimace. How are you doing today? Are you having a nice day? For first year what? I have been teaching calligraphy for 20 years. I just haven't done it on YouTube. And then we're going to go down to the baseline, stop, and then back up. Okay, then the B, we're going to start at between the X height and the first ascender. So, between the X height and the second ascender, we're going to start and we're going to go from there. We're going to go up to the second ascender, down to the baseline, back up to the second ascender, around and into the X height, and then down and in. Okay, the letter C, we're going to start again at that first ascending line. We're going to start here. We're going to come down, go back up to the second ascender, around, down to the baseline, and out. The D, we're going to start at the second ascender. We're going to come down to the baseline and swoop out just a little bit. Then we're going to hop up to the quarter X height, back down to the baseline, up to the second ascender, and a loop down to the first ascender, and then back up to the second ascender. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. The E is kind of like started like the C, so we're going to start at that first ascender, do a little loop, and then we're going to do a bigger loop. So we're going to spiral out, and then we're going to spiral right back in again. For the F, we're going to start just like we did with the D. We're going to have this long stem, and we're going to come up to the X height, and we're going to swoop right through that and a little tick down. Zoom in just a little bit so you can see. And then we're going to go right between that swoop and that stem, and we're going to go whoop, whoop. Okay? A little hat. G, we're going to go the opposite way. We're going to start at the baseline. We're going to go all the way up to the second ascender in a swooping motion. We're going to make a loop, come down to that X height, back up to that second ascender, and then we're going to make this giant F shape. And there we have our G. The H starts off with an overturn into a stem, pretty simple, and then we're going to go from a stem into an over and through and out. Okay. All right, let's drop 2 down, mark off our X height. The I can be done one of 2 ways. I like to start it with the reverse F. So we're going to start off on one side. We're going to swoop down and over, back from the X height, back to the X height. And then we're going to swoop down to the baseline, up to the second ascender, straight down to the baseline, and out. Or, if you're connecting this into a letter, you can start at the baseline, make a reverse loop, back down to the baseline, up to the X height, and then out into your next letter. Either way is correct. The next is the J, so the J starts behind the letter, just below the X height. We're going to start in the upward direction, just like we did with the I, only we're going to go through the baseline, double down, back up to the X height, and out. So you should be going as far up as you do down. Okay. F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. So the K kind of starts like the H. We're going to start in the middle of the first ascender, up to the second ascender, down to the baseline. And then we're going to come in slanted to the X height, and then down and out. So these are relatively simple letters. The L starts again at the first ascender, swoop down to the X height, up to the second ascender, down to the baseline, a little loop, and out. The M starts off like the H. So we have a stem, a hump, and another hump. The N is also the same way as the N. One leg and one hump. Let's drop 2 down. Let's drop 4 down. 1, 2, 3. We'll drop down to here. 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. Wow. Alright, so then the O is kind of simple. So here is, let me see. I want to draw this with a pencil. So here is a parallelogram. So, and this intrudes of when we make an oval, our ovals should be twice as high as their width. So it should be twice as tall as it is wide. So we're going to go up, over, around, down, and then back up. But instead of doing it on the side, we're going to start at the top. We're going to come down, back up, and circle and out. So we're going to come down, up, and then into the first ascender, and then back up to the second ascender. P is kind of a weird one. It kind of looks like a J meets a D, so, or a G meets a L. Anyway, so we're going to come from the second ascender down to the baseline, loop back up past the second ascender, and then into the X height. The Q starts at the first ascender, goes down to the X height, up to the second ascender, down to the baseline, a little loop, and then under the baseline. The R is kind of like a P, so we're going to start off with a P and then into a leg. Q-O-P-Q-R-S. So S starts at the baseline. We're going to go against the grain. So here is our 55-degree slant, right? Okay. We're going to go across with like a wiggle. We're going to loop through, down, up to the X height, and then into our next letter. This one takes a little bit of practice. A T is kind of like an F a little bit. It's kind of like a G and an F. So we're going to start at the baseline. We're going to come up to the X height, and then we're going to come straight down, and then up to the X height, in, and then right in between there, we're going to do an F hat. But no tick down. The U starts off like a H, goes into an underturn, and then a straight line down to the baseline and out. Hi, Simply Ops. How are you doing today? All right, let's drop a couple down. Mark off an X height. The V is kind of like a U, only instead of stopping coming back down, we're just gonna go right out. So up, down, and out. And there's our simple V. W is kind of like a double V. So we're gonna come up, down, up, down, and out. Or you can do a leg, up, down, and out. Both are correct. The X kind of starts the same way, starts over, only we're going to go slanted down and then out, and we're going to cross with the 55-degree slant. The other way is you can do a loop up and into like a Q and then like a C. The Y starts off with an overturn, starts off with a U, and then into a descending stem loop and out. And then the Z kind of starts out like an X with a little loop and then into a downward fish. So if we turn it sideways, it looks like a fish. And there, we've done all of the capital letters. So when we write them big, it gives us an idea of what they're supposed to look like when they're small. So now we're going to half the X height, and we're only going to make it this big. So that looks like B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. What y'all think about that? So, this would be something good to practice for a little while. Give you a week to practice those capital letters. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Now, this might not be the way that you do yours. And I saw the most perfect quote today, and I want to read it to you. What did I do with it? What did I do with that? Come on. Oh my my god, I'd lose my foot if it wasn't attached. So good. Aha. Here it is. It was a statement that was made by Mike Ward when he was teaching one of his students. And he said, we choose, that's where it becomes very artistic. You might not shade something different, or you might shade something different than I might shade something. So your writing is your voice on paper, versus we won't look the same. When we write, we don't sound the same when we talk. So I like that we don't have to look the same way when we write. And I thought that that was a really good saying. We don't choose, we choose. That's where it becomes very artistic. You might shade something different than I might shade something. So your writing is your voice on paper, versus we won't look the same where we write. We don't sound the same when we talk. So I like that we don't have to look the same way when we write. Such a good thing. So, the other things that I wanted to talk about today are some things that fellow calligrapher, her name is Shin Long. She's a cursive writing teacher, and I want to talk to you about the things that she talked about in her video, but you can go watch it if you want to. Her channel is called, where is it? Oh, for bugger's sakes. Open Ink Stand Art and Calligraphy. She does an amazing job at explaining the pens that she uses. So I'm just using scrap paper. You can use just about any pen to do cursive writing with. You can use, this is just a Uniball Vision, this is just a ballpoint pen. You can use a Pilot Friction pen. You can use a Pigma Micron. You can use a gel pen. You can use a fountain pen. You can use just about anything. So, I mean, cursive, some of my favorite pens to use for cursive writing are, again, this Uniball Vision, which is really nice. If I want to use a very fine line, I will use this Muji pen. This is a 0.35 millimeter pen, which is really good. This is Pilot Friction Fineliner. It works very good for doing cursive writing. So try a whole bunch of pens using non-flexible pens. Non-flexible pens to use for cursive. Also, let's talk about the grip. So when you're writing, you don't want to be fighting the page. You don't want to be fighting the pen to write with. So if you're using something like a even have one here I can show you. For example, this is a Bic crystal. If it's not writing under its own pressure, it's probably not going to be that good for writing. So you want something that you don't have to grip hard onto. You want it just to be able to write under its own pressure. So something like a Pigma Micron Fineliner. This is a felt tip, very teeny tiny felt tip pen. Is really good for doing this with. Or you can use a Pigma Micron. This one has a very fine line. So, of course, I like nice bold letters. This is what I use for bold letters. This is nice bold letters. If you want to use on an envelope, I highly recommend the Sharpie S Gel. It's also very good. Also, if you are a person that likes to erase your writing, I highly recommend the Pilot Friction. You can't go wrong with the Pilot Friction. And plus, if you make a mistake, you can erase it. Cool, huh? And the Pilot Friction comes in a whole bunch of colors. This is their Pilot Friction fine liner. See, I made a mistake right there. Great that this erases. And see, I mucked it up there too. Jeez. So, highly recommend the Pilot Friction. You can use a fountain pen. So let me. Do I have a normal pen that I can use? Please, can I have some? Okay. So this is a Lamy Safari. It doesn't have a flexible nib. This has a very broad nib. So let's see. Salome Safari has a very broad nib on it. What else do we have? Or you can use a flexible pen. If you don't want to put pressure, you don't want to put pressure when using cursive. What is this? This is an Admock. This has a very, very fine point on it. Of course, if you did want, we will talk about doing pressure later, but they come with a really nice nib too. And of course, there's always, I don't have one inked up right now. If you want to get really fancy, you can get a gold nibbed pen. You don't have to, but this one has a very, very, very extra fine grind. What is this? This is a Noodler's. Nib alone is $300. So I mean, you can buy all kinds of different types of pens to do the same thing. Even if you had like a brush pen, this is a wait, let's do this one. This is a Click. This is from Zebra Mildliner Click pen. Okay. Really nice. What else? You could probably even do it with a highlighter too. Use the sharp end of the highlighter. You can barely see it, but it's there. Or if you have a really bold brush pen, you can use a brush pen. So you can use all different kinds of pens to do cursive writing with. Okay, that's enough talking about pens. Let's talk about the desk. So the desk should be comfortable to you. You shouldn't be leaning on it. But if you find that you're leaning too much, perhaps bring your desk bring your chair down so that you're not so far away from the page that you have to lean over. Also, I highly recommend a couple of rolled up socks if you have like dead arm. So I just put it on the edge of my desk and then I rest my arm on it so it doesn't run out of blood while I'm writing. And also because this is really hard, so you don't want to just lean your arm on your desk. So maybe put a rolled up sock. Very helpful. Or you can go down to the 99-cent store or your office supply store, and they should have something like this. Well, I'm not done yet. Don't get excited. Have a nice cup of tea. Alright, so then let's talk about some sizing. Sizing is everything. If you use a big broad pen, maybe you can do a bigger, larger writing. This is a relatively large pen. Monoline, you can use, this is a dot marker. So if you write too small, you're gonna run it's gonna look like a blob. So write bigger. So instead of using maybe 2 spaces big, maybe use a 4 spaces big. Okay, depending on the pen that you have. Or if you have a very tiny pen, this is a 0.3. This is a 0.3. Or if you have something like a very, very small, this is a 0.1. So you can make a very, very, very small A. Super tiny. A Pilot G2. Okay, that's perfect. Pilot G2 is perfect. Let me see. What did I do about Pilot G2? I have a couple of them. I have a purple one and a black one. You can even do this with a pencil. Oops, let me see. Sorry, let me zoom out a little bit. Okay. So we have a Pilot G2. Boop. Pilot G2A. Oops. A little bit of skipping. A. B. C. Cursive is different from copperplate calligraphy because instead of stopping at the X height, you stop at the baseline. So if you have an A, you go from the top and you stop. And then you go up and you stop. The B is the same way. Go up and you stop. Up, around, stop. C, up, around, stop. Up into the next letter. D, down, stop. Up, and out. E, stop. Can't see what I'm doing. Sorry. Duh. Sorry. Up, stop. Into the next letter. D, up, around, stop. Up, around, stop. Up, around, stop. Up into the next letter. So, F, wiggly whoa. G, is probably the only one that stops at the second ascender. Up, down, up, and stop into the next letter. J, up, down, stop into the next letter. K, up, stop, down, stop into the stop, loop, into the next letter. Up, down, stop, up, down, stop, up, down, stop, into the next letter. Up, down, stop, up, down, stop, into the next letter. So as soon as you figure out that this is going to be a very pointy lettering, you figure out that where to do the stopping. P it stops at the X height. Q goes under the baseline. R up, down, stop, or into the next letter. Up, down, stop, wiggly woo. U into the next letter. V W X. You can do it either do it this way and then this way, or you can do it that way. Y is like a U, but with a descending stem loop. And Z has a downward fish. Okie dokie. So, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about, let's see, we have space, the size, the spacing. When you use the 55-degree line, this has a 3mm spacing, which means that there's 3 millimeters in between each of these. So if I write an A, I'm going to go from this 1, 2, 3 spaces, up, over, down, up, down, and then into the next space. Okay, this would go into a B, C, skip a space, D, skip a space, E, 1 space, F, skip a space, G, skip a space, H, skip a space. This is probably the hardest thing to do, is go from a G to an H, because you're really skipping a space there. It looks like a giant wiggle. I, skip a space, J, skip a space, and all the way back up, K, down, L, skip a space, M, skip a space, N, skip a space, N, O, skip a space, P, skip a space, Q, skip a space, R, skip a space, S, skip a space, T, skip a space, U, V, skip a space, skip a space, W, skip a space, slant, cross, Y, skip a space, downward fish, and we're finished. Don't forget to cross your T, tittle your I, and your J. Now we're going to write the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. We're going to do it in capital letters. So I'm going to try and... Oh, don't do that. Okay, so... T... H... E... The... Quick, you see Q... U... I... C... K... Brown B... R... O... W... N... Fox is F... O... X... Jumps J... Q... M... P... S... Over O... V... E... R... The... H... E... Lazy L... A... Z... Y... Dog D... Oops! This is where I wish I had even been using my D... O... G... So as you can see, most of these things are pretty evened out. So when you're writing, you need to give extra space for the spaces. So it would look like... Now you see kind of how often I'm lifting. I'm often lifting at the baseline instead of the X height, like we do with copperplate. And the faster that you write, the faster, that's when we talk about movement. So when we're talking about movement, oh, I need to zoom my camera out. When we're talking about movement, we're usually talking about this, we're talking about wrist movement. But when we get into the bigger letters, we talk about arm movement, wrist and arm movement, and then whole arm movement when we're doing really big letters like this. So, lift, angle, speed, speed. Okay, let's talk about speed for a second. And not the naughty kind. Crazy people. So, when we talk about speed, we want to talk about writing in a flow that is comprehensible with the way that our brains function. So if you think very quickly, then your writing will probably be a lot more quicker. And the faster that you go will diminish the accuracy of the writing. So I tend to make my cursive writing very spiky. So my cursive writing tends to look very spiky because I'm writing in a cadence that my brain can keep up with. But my advice is always slow down. It's not a race. We're not timing you. If you don't have time to do it nice, then just take a breath. Slow down, take a breath. Don't get excited. Have a nice cup of tea. And perhaps if you are going to make a lot of mistakes, it's either best to have a pilot friction or a pencil. You can even use a pencil. I know, crazy to think. So you can use a pencil. Oops, can't see what I'm doing. Sorry. Pencil. I even got a really big pencil. This is a Mr. Pen. Six, 5.6 millimeters. It writes very big. So I gotta slow down when I'm writing big. But I really enjoy using the pilot frictions because they give me the ability to erase when I need it. So, the other thing I was going to tell you is the rhythm of writing and the speed will kind of give you an idea of how fast you can write. Let's talk a little bit about flourishing. So, most times when we're talking about flourishing in cursive, we're talking about ornamental penmanship. ornamental penmanship. And you will see a lot of calligraphers doing little whoops and swirls at the beginning and ends of words. So that's what we call flourishing. This is not my best work, sorry. For example, when I write my signature, I put a little motion, I put a little full arm movement in my signatures. And I can do them very small, but they're not going to look the same. They're not quite as smooth and not quite as flourishy. 3 p.m. Time for more pills. So, the best advice I can give you about movement in writing is to buy a book or some loose leaf CVS caliber filler paper and just have a go. Just write really big and crazy. Just write a whole bunch of circles. Get a feel for the pen. Write a whole bunch of anti-circles. And do a couple of these ones. And then a couple of these ones. Just get crazy with it. So, try with combining different angles. Maybe do a couple of figure eights. And do them backwards. Get your arm moving. Get it to know that it's a couple of sideways eights. Maybe a sideways 8 into an oval, or an oval into a sideways 8. And then, let's see. The last thing that I'm going to do is we're going to write out How Doth the Crocodile, because it's my favorite poem. Spreads, Spreads. And there we go. So I highly recommend using the Pilot Friction. And plus they come in so many wonderful colors. What y'all think about that? Let me know in the comment section below. And I want to So, thank you all so much for joining me on this exploration of cursive writing. If you guys have enjoyed this one, please share this video with your friends. It means the world to me that you guys want to come and hang out with me and celebrate the little joys that I find interesting when doing writing. So, I will be leaving these exemplars on the Discord. If anybody is interested, you can check them out there. That's all I've got for today. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope that you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Like, comment, subscribe. Ring the little bell. Make sure it's set to all, so when I upload new content, YouTube notifies you. Don't forget to check out the links in the description. I'd like to give a huge shout out to my members: Cynthia, Rahul, Wolf Kate Witch, Arcboy, Vermilion, T Simply, Obs, Lynette, Wumble Bumblebee. If you'd like to become a member, you can do so for as low as 99 cents a month. I'd like you also to check out the links in the description to my website. Join the calligraphy class, check out the paper reviews page, join the Discord, and if you'd like to save 10% off on your next order to Pen Boutique or Atlas Stationers, I am an affiliate. When you use my link, you get a discount, and I get a small commission so that I can make better content for all of you. And that just leaves me to say, get out there and enjoy your life. Be with the people you love. Tell them you love them, and I love you to pieces. Please share your journey over on Discord, and I will be back in a week with another little cursive writing course. So, have a great day. Okay, love you, bye.